Hi, and welcome to this Low Code in 30 webinar. I'm Craig White from the Evangelist team at Mendix, and I'll be taking you through today's webinar looking at multi-channel apps. So each month we're looking at a different topic, and last month my colleague Simon Black covered collaborative visual development, and you can find this webinar if you go to mendix.com and click on demos in the top right. So as we've got here, and as I've just said, we're covering multi-channel apps this month. Next month, mobile experiences, so online and offline mobile apps. And then in August, looking at integrated smart apps. So looking at integration with other services to create proactive, context-aware apps. So the structure of today, I'm just going to carry on with this presentation, go into a demo of the product and the web modeler, and then we've got some time at the end for some questions. So if you have any questions, then please ask them during the call and I'll answer these at the end. So Mendix is a low-code platform that helps enterprises collaborate between business and IT. And we do this by having a low-code platform that covers the whole application lifecycle. You can create apps 10 times faster and using 70% fewer resources compared to traditional methods of development. So I found this quote from Gartner that states enterprises aren't focusing on UX and aren't really delivering value to customers. So I thought, well, how do we overcome this UX challenge? So firstly, I think we need to rapidly innovate and test new ideas. By doing this, we can, so by adopting an agile Scrum framework, you can deliver quickly and always ensure that you've got a working minimal viable product at the end of each sprint. You can overcome app fatigue with a great user experience. So you really need to give your customers a really good reason to use your app. And if this is a mobile app, a really good reason to download and keep that app on their device. And then thirdly, to give your customers a choice of channel. So they can access and engage with you via their desktop, tablet, mobile, and make the experience convenient for them. Which leads me into multi-channel. So multi-channel, as I say, is about making it convenient for your customer. Think about what your customer needs from the interaction with your business and give them the best experience you can. And I mentioned giving your customers choice. So you may have responsive pages that will adapt to the screen size automatically. You might have specifically designed pages for a certain device type. And you might also have a native mobile app for Android and iOS. And all of those things flow into a continuous user experience. So ensuring your brand is positively portrayed across all these channels. We want to ensure that that design and experience is consistent and has the same look and feel. And then also having a single platform obviously helps. So there are enterprises that may already be multi-channel and have a website, an iOS app, an Android app, but each one's probably developed separately, updated, maintained separately, and each with their own separate back-end infrastructure. So if you want to make a change, then you probably have to update it in multiple different places, and maybe different teams managing that as well. So I found this image which gives a good example of a multi-channel experience. You have your customer on the right-hand side with a phone, and they can make a request via the phone, whether it's a web app or it could be a native mobile app. That request then goes to your planners. Your planners are using a desktop site. And then they pass those appointments onto your field engineer. And then they can obviously go and service the customer request. And the field engineers are viewing on a tablet. So here you've got 3 different channels and 3 different ways of viewing your app. But the app you build, if you use the Mendix low-code platform, will have the same backend, and your front end can reuse a lot of components, but you will optimize it so it works perfectly across those 3 different channels. So this image here helps to show how that would work, and I'll go into an example of this in my demo. So again, I've got those different channels there, and you can see that the desktop, for example, shows an image and some writing in the columns. The tablet is showing that as an image and writing in rows, and then the phone displays them one on top of the other. And on the left-hand side here, I just have a few things that I will cover in today's demo. Okay, so firstly, I'm just going to go to mendix.com, and you can find the app gallery by going to Solutions and App Gallery. Now, the app gallery is built by the Evangelist team, and we've made here 9 apps that showcase different industries, different use cases that hopefully will inspire you in building your next app. But the reason I've brought this up is because I wanted to show you an example. So here I'm going to look at the claims portal that we've built. And there are some blogs and some videos on this app, but the main point here is I want to preview this app. And here's myself helping someone with a claim, so an insurance claim. And here we actually use a conversational user interface to take someone through a claims journey. Now, again, the reason I wanted to go to this first is because I'm showing here, okay, what would you like to claim for? And I've got here 2 different items. I can tick this, go to the next part. I've also up here can view the same app on a phone. So this is now simulating a phone. So now we have Chris, our other evangelist. And this will take you through that exact same journey. So we haven't had to build anything different. We've maybe mentioned that, we've maybe said that the toolbar at the top will look slightly different when it goes down to a smaller device size. And what we've also done is we've said that rather than displaying the image, that on a phone, we just want to show the categories. But it gives you a consistent user experience. It allows your customer to engage with this business. So it allows them to engage with the same process, and they can still get their claim in. And this was a big example of showing multi-channel here. So this actually uses the Atlas framework, so the Atlas UI, which is the design language built by Mendix. And this is what you will get when you'll see, we're going to the web modeler shortly. And you get a number of phone templates, responsive templates, also includes native mobile features. We'll talk about more of this one in the mobile webinar next month. But we also have across the top here templates, which you can use, and this gives you a good example of the different types of use cases, when to use these, and what building blocks each one of these templates uses. So you can see on this dashboard, for example, it uses a default page header, and it uses the card metrics building block. So there is multiple different phone templates there. We also have responsive templates. So you can see we've got some dashboards, some dashboard charts. So it makes it really easy for you to have a great starting point. And then if you want to, you can customize these further. This is all based on open standards such as CSS, SAS, and Bootstrap. So you can change these however you want and tailor them to your business. But the important thing is these building blocks here, as you can see, they are made so you can just drag them into your app. And as I said, it gives you a really great starting point for building that app. And then you can iterate on that. So once you've built the first version, you can see what parts you might want to improve and change. And then finally, we have widgets. So widgets, again, give you the option of introducing some buttons, some calendar options, some charts, image carousels, maybe more custom checkboxes. And there's some descriptions in here of kind of how to use them as well. If you also go into the documentation, you can click on documentation, and it gives you some examples of how to use that feature. So I'm going to go into the Mendix platform now, and I'm going to create a brand new app. So there are some starter apps in here, and I'd actually suggest that you do the introduction tour. It gives you a good overview of the platform and how to build your app from the beginning. So I'm going to go in here, and I am actually going to choose a blank app, even though there are some starter apps in here, such as building an event app or an asset manager. And I'm just going to choose a blank app and call this low code in 30, call it multi-channel. So this is now creating your app in the background. It's also creating an environment and a collaboration space where your team can work on an app together. It's also setting up a sandbox environment where you can push your application into a sandbox environment so you can view your app and see what it looks like. And anyone can then view that URL to see how your app is progressing. And maybe test as well, so you can give that URL to someone else in your business and ask them to have a look, test your app, get some new ideas, and also get feedback. So I'm going to go into editing my app, and we have a web modeler, which we aim towards citizen developers, or less technical developers. Or I guess the other use case is a developer can sit with a business user and design the user interface. So really help them understand what this app is going to look like. And then they can sync these changes into the desktop modeler, which is for our more technical developers, and they can add in things like integration with other services using the desktop modeler. So I'm going to start by dragging in a new header, and I'm going to delete the existing one here. So new header here, and I'm just going to name this. And as you can see, I can inline edit now. So multi-channel apps. So I can actually just double click on the text box. You do have the option over here to change the caption. You can change the size of it over here. So very easily change this, change how it looks. And you can also add any design properties here as well. So you can change spacing and alignment without having to know any CSS. So I'm going to change the title and leave the rest of it as it is. If I go into the toolbox now, I've already used one of these headers from this header list, and I would like to actually use a layout grid. So in the layout section, I can just drag in this grid, and you can see now I'm giving some options here on the right hand side as how I'd like this layout grid to look on a different device. So if I say I'd like 4 columns, I can see that it's now giving me an option to display these on a tablet and on a phone. So at the moment I'm looking at the phone view. I can easily switch across here to a tablet view or to a responsive view. So when I add my cards, which I'm going to do next, so in here I'm going to add a card action. So very simply can add these cards into each one of these columns. And as I said before, this will now adjust. So I've now got 4 by 4 on the tablet and mobile view, which is really useful just to give you a very quick indication of how this is going to look. So I'd like to change some of these icons. So I'm just going to make this as a plus because I'm going to add a customer. So add customer. And over here, I'm going to show a customer list. So once you've added those customers, Let's show users. So there's also list, which is a nice icon as well. So customers. So this is going to show me a list of customers when I click on it. And just for completeness, I will name these bottom two. And let's just change this icon as well. Okay, so the first thing I'd like to do is add a new customer. Now, before I do that, so we've created a page already, and what I would like to do now is create the domain model. So this is where the data is going to be stored in the background. So in here, I need to create a new entity, and I'm going to call this customer. And within customer, I need to create attributes. So attributes are all your fields, essentially. So I need a new one called name. I need one called email. And as well, you can change the type in here as well. So I'm going to use string here, but you can select Boolean or currency, date, time, all the things you would expect if you were in the same way as when you're using Excel, you can format data in a certain way. So I'm going to ask for a phone number, and I think I'm going to ask for location as well because I'm going to add a map in. Okay, so now I have a customer, and I have 4 attributes that I'm going to store about that customer. Now, if I go back to my page, so my home page, I'm going to add a microflow logic to this button here. Now, a microflow is, as I said, the logic within Mendix. And so this will perform a certain action when I click this button. So I'm going to create a new microflow. I'm going to call this add customer, because when we click on the button, that's exactly what it's going to do. It's going to add a new customer. So the first thing we need to do is create an object. So create a customer object. And I'm going to click on the properties here and select the customer entity that we've just created. So now that's going to create, as it says there, a new customer. Now the next thing I need it to do is I need it to show a new page. So down here, handily, we have a show page button, activity. So I'll drag the show page activity in here, and I'll set the page. So in fact, before I do that, I will select the object to pass. So the object is this new customer. So I'm going to select the new customer, and so that when it goes to that new page, it's going to have an empty customer object to work with. So I'm going to create a new page. And this is where it's given me options, and I mentioned earlier when I was showing you the Atlas UI design and the templates, the building blocks. So these are page templates in here that you can select from. So you have a number of dashboards, lists, forms. Now, here I'm going to select pre-fill page contents based on the customer entity. Now, this is actually going to limit me now to just the forms, but that's okay because I want to add a new customer, and that's what I want. I'm going to add here the title called add customer and create this. So now we have a page. If I click this button here, that's going to actually just take me to that page that we've just created. And as you can see, it's already put in the 4 text fields to give me the input fields required for those 4 attributes. It's also created a save button and a cancel button automatically. So a cancel button will just go back to the first page, and the save button will commit the data that you enter into that data model, the domain model. And again, this will work across different devices. We can customize how that looks another time. So now I would like to go back to the home bit. And so I would like to now show a list of customers. So if I click on this button here, I'm not going to do a microflow this time. I'm just going to click on this show a page button, because I don't need to create the object. I just need to show the new page. So this one is going to be called customer list. And I'm going to use list, and I'm going to use this list blocks here. So what I can do here is I can, so first actually I need to select my data source for this list. So that's going to be customer. So now when I click on the title here, I can actually type an open curly bracket and select name. For this text here, I'm going to do the same thing, and it's going to prompt me for email, and then the same thing for phone number. So really easily, it's accessing those attributes in the domain model. So it's going to pull those through into a list. Now a list view will repeat these objects. So we only have to amend this top one here. And as you can see, it's showing the repetition further down. And I don't think I'm going to use this button actually. So I'm just going to display the name, email, phone number. And let's redo this header to match the last one. And I'll just put a title on here as well to make it a bit different. Okay, now the last thing I'd like to do is, in fact, I'm going to start publishing this now. Just so we don't have to wait shortly. So I'm going to get a Google Maps widget. I'm just going to put this underneath here. So first thing it's telling me is that it needs a source. So in the settings here, I'm going to select context. And select the address attribute. So I've got location here. I'm going to select that, and it's going to default to Rotterdam. And actually, as I said earlier, you can add some spacing in here. So I'm just going to put medium spacing on here. And again, without knowing any CSS, I can just select medium, and it's going to put some spacing between these objects here, or these elements. Okay, so I think if I go back to the home page, so we've got add customer. We can add in those customer details, including a location. We have a customer page where we can view that. And so it's already published, but I'm just going to update those last couple of changes. So this is deploying to the sandbox environment. And I've got a couple of options here. So I can view the app as a desktop preview or as a phone preview. So let's first do the phone preview. So this is a simulated phone view. So I can add a customer in here. So let's add myself in here. And I'm going to put myself in London. I'm going to create a couple more just so it displays nicely on here. So I'll add some more evangelists. And Simon's often in our Boston office, so I'll add a different location in there. And I know Chris was in Rotterdam last week, so I'll put Chris there. Oh, that's me. And okay, great. So now when I click on customers, we're going to see that information displayed in our app. Now, the reason is on this Google map is because we haven't actually set the zoom level. So if I zoom out, I'll see I'm in London, Boston, and Rotterdam. So what I'm going to actually do is going to go back and make a quick change. So if I go here and I click on the widget, I can go into the zoom level. And change this to, I believe, 15, and I'll turn this auto zoom off. So I can see it's already changed there, and I'll just update again. So again, this is just going to update my model online. Perfect. Let's view that app again. And I click customers. Perfect. So I've got myself, Simon, and Chris, 3 different locations displaying our information. Now, as I said before, you have an option here to look at this in the desktop, and it will work in the same way. You've got your add customer, and then you have your customers, but because it's now got more room to play with, it's put these across. And that just shows that the Atlas UI and the building blocks allow you to build something that's going to work across different device types. And the last thing I'm actually going to do is show you the last thing on the web modeler is show you the theme customizer. So I can, in here, change the colors. I can add a different logo. So in the top left, there was a Mendix logo. I'm just going to add the Atlas logo. And you can actually go into here and change your different brand colors. Now, we've got some predefined brand colors, but since I've uploaded this logo, it's actually changed my color palette down here. So this is my logo colors that it's pulled from this. So if you update your brand, your logo for your brand, then you'll see your logo colors in here. So you can very easily say, I'd like to pick my primary and secondary colors from your own logo. So once I've applied that style, we'll see that update in the toolbar at the top. So I've got that there now. And I'll just do one final update and we can have a look at that change. So if I click on phone preview now, we can see the logo has changed there. Now, the other thing you will see on here is a view on mobile device. So I'm going to give this a try now. So I'm just going to connect up my phone. And so what you'll see is a mirror of my phone. And just connecting to that now. So I've already opened up the iOS App Store, and I've searched for Mendix. So on here, I'm going to click Open, and here is the Mendix app. And if I click on the top left, I get an option to scan QR code. So I'm going to scan that code on the screen now, and this is going to load up the app that I've just built. So what's really nice about this is you can actually test it on a mobile device. So we just saw the preview and the phone preview on the browser, but now I can actually show the app working on my phone. So now I can walk to a colleague's desk and show them the app that I've just built, and I can show them it working on a mobile, and we have a navigation menu here as well, which we didn't look at this time, but you could add in more navigation in there to move yourself around the app. So if you download the Mendix mobile app, you'll be able to do that and show people the app that you've built. So ultimately, you need to provide the right experience for your customer. And you should give your customer the choice to engage with you in different ways. So whether this is through a responsive web app, which can be viewed across any device, or a native mobile app, which can be downloaded from the App Store, which gives you access to native device functionality, such as swiping or using the camera. And the other thing is, if you aren't sure what the best way is, then rapidly innovate using a low-code platform to test your ideas and iterate upon them. So you saw very quickly I was able to build an idea, build a simple app to store customers. We could then iterate upon this to add in ratings, we could add in notes about each customer. but making your app better after each development sprint. And what I really like as well is as I said, the Mendix mobile app, where you can scan that QR code and view the app. Makes it really tangible to not only you and your development team, but also to key business stakeholders. So I hope that overview of how you can build multi-channel apps with the Mendix low-code platform has given you some ideas of apps you can build yourself. Please check out the app gallery and join us for the next webinar. Thanks.